Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenmara.com, and today I just want to talk about something that's a little bit more of a personal opinion, but it's something that I have noticed within some communities, not all of them obviously, and that is the concept of spiritual fitness and how it's affected by your physical fitness. So, a little disclaimer here right at the beginning, and I'll probably say this a couple times throughout just as a reminder. These are my opinions and my viewpoints only. This is not any form of medical advice, so do not take it as such. This is references and ideas only and things that I have observed over time in this type of a situation. So, most of us know what we're looking for with our spiritual ascension, or however you wish to use the term. It's your spiritual fitness. You're trying to get your spirit, your soul, your mind, your everything up to a certain level so that you can perform at a higher rate. And that's what we're all working towards. And I don't care if you've just started yesterday or if you've been practicing for 20 years or longer, we're all working towards that ideal. So spiritual growth or ascension, which is the other word that people like to use, especially in the more modern times, is really about getting yourself spiritually fit, decking yourself out, getting yourself good to go. With spiritual fitness, it's all about growing, gaining knowledge, strengthening your connection to God's source, divine energy, then using this growth to basically radiate out and share with others and help them connect as well if that's their decision, obviously. It helps us deal with the energetic gunk that flies around us, the stress, the negativity, the tension at work, the relationship issues. When you have a stronger spiritual connection and your spiritual fitness, for this video we'll use that term, is strong, you can handle that in a much better way, just across the board. This fitness helps us to heal ourselves and those in the community, by extension, the planet. So when we're spiritually in a really good place and we're connecting in and we're aligning and we're growing and maybe even teaching classes, you're actually not just healing and working with your own energy, you're actually projecting out and working with others. And for each one of us that uplifts and continues to grow, we're actually helping our entire community and, by extension, the planet. Because as we continue to grow, we actually help to elevate the planet. Because the planet does have an aspect of consciousness in almost every belief system, really. So, physical fitness, on the other hand, is growing, getting stronger, gaining knowledge of your body, how it works, how it functions, what works with your body, what doesn't work with your body, staying physically healthy and being an example and encouragement to others. That's why the fitness industry is such a popular thing and why being in shape is such an attractive prospect. It's because that person has this knowledge and has an ideal that we are, whether we say it out loud or not, we are searching for that ideal. So being physically fit helps prevent injury as well and helps you cope with stress on your body. It also can increase the quality of your life and possibly increase longevity depending on what kind of fitness you're in. Now, if you're doing extreme sports, that longevity part gets a little bit shaky. But just overall physical activity and building in a healthier environment for yourself in a physical sense will help overall. Again, this is just my opinions, and this is what I've researched and read and experimented with and tried out. So this is not a medical advice or anything like that. I am not a doctor. I am a metaphysical person, spiritual person that just happens to enjoy fitness when I have the time lately. What isn't talked about very often, though, is how your spiritual fitness and your physical fitness can actually work together. The ancients knew that these two realms were intimately intertwined. A lot of the ancient martial arts styles and techniques have spiritual components that have either been downplayed completely or removed entirely by a Western ideology. It happens. It's just what it is. Now, to be fair, you can perform most of these exercises without any spiritual intention, without any focus on that, and just do the physical aspect of it, and you're going to get a physical result. That's great. That's part of why we do them, is to get the physical part. But they were made to be in balance with the spiritual as well. So we'll go over a couple of these different ones that I've personally used, but you can do a lot of the spiritual intention setting and work with almost any workout, really. Let's go with yoga. Can be all about flexibility and strength if you strictly focus on the physical. But you can bring your conscious breathing into it. Bring focused intent into the actions that you're doing. So when you're doing Warrior One pose, instead of just standing there with your arms out going, wow, this is really struggling my shoulders, what does it mean to be a warrior in a peaceful sense? Things like that help you to focus on the spiritual aspect of it, which will eventually develop into the prana energy that is what the Hindus and the yogis call it, is prana. So Tai Chi can be a low impact cardio exercise. I recommend personally to anybody who's, even if you're a little bit stiff or stoved up, Tai Chi is a fluid and it gets your joints moving, and you can do at your own pace, which is beautiful for that. But when you start bringing in your conscious breathing, where you're breathing in and out with the movements, you're really focusing on how this all whirls together and bringing in the intent. So as you're doing some of these, like the rolling cloud, you're feeling the cloud in your hands. How does that, and what emotions does that bring up? So you start tapping more into that spiritual aspect of it. So it teaches you how to cool the storms within also, and bring the divine light down as well. And that will help you develop and understand the concept of chi, which is the bioenergy of your body. It's prana, chi, ether. There's a lot of different names for it, but these are ways to actually actively support, build, and enhance that energy. So a similar martial art to Tai Chi, and this one is one that's just now starting to get a little bit more popular. When I first started into this particular one, no one I knew had heard of it at all. I ran across it by accident. So, I mean, there's that. And it was the art is Qigong or Qigong, depending on which book you're reading. It's the last word, depending on where it's from, is the same meaning, but it's really about focusing and building the Qi. It's not like Tai Chi where you're slowly getting the manipulation of it. You're starting to understand how it rolls. In Qigong, you're starting off cleaning out your entire system and then building on that. So it's a little bit more intensive. And movement-wise, it's very similar to Tai Chi. And more focus with Qigong is on your breath and on the quieting of the mind. So Qigong is actually way more focused on the spiritual aspect and using the physical movements in specific patterns to trigger the body's clearing of Qi, to open up your meridians, the energy lines within your body, which is what they use when they do puncture or acupressure. So it's really about building that up. And when you start to practice Qigong, there's a lot of interesting things that will start to happen with your body. And I'll go through those in a few minutes. But in all three practices, there's the inherent focus on breathing as a way to heal your body, to open up the channels and energy centers within your body, to free up that flow of Qi, of prana, of ether, of orgone, whatever term you choose to use. But it's the energy that motivates you. It's the energy that comes from God that actually elevates you into a conscious, sentient being. So I use the term focused breathing specifically for a reason. Most of us in our modern culture breathe very shallow and rapid, and we breathe from our chest, which doesn't engage your abs, doesn't engage your core, and this time of breathing, to me, is a stress response. And when you read a lot of the research on it, that is one thing that is pretty consistent, is when you breathe from your chest and you don't move your abdomen very much, you're actually in a state of low-level stress, just holding yourself there. Why we do that, I don't know. Just I've noticed it with a lot of modern-day people. So a way to deal with this is to bring deep belly breathing as a practice and a focus every single day. Sorry, the coffee just got stuck today. But when you deep belly breathe, it relaxes your body. It massages your internal organs. Again, these are my opinions, but it's from what I've read, so it's not just me making stuff up. Sorry, I lost my notes. That's not good. So this is just, like I said, something to think about, but it's a lot of research and references out there pointing to this as a benefit for your body. And I've put a few reference links in the description box, so if you are curious about a couple of them, you can go check that out. But in the long term, there is a ton of information out there. It's just a matter of knowing where to look. So there's a couple of places I put down below. You can start with a couple of books. I'm a book nerd, so that's what I usually go with. So you can check those out. It's my opinion that when we bring our breathing back into our belly, drop it out of your chest into your abdomen, you actually start to stretch out your diaphragm muscle, the muscle that really moves your lungs up and down to breathe. And when it starts to stretch and expand, it actually becomes stronger, but it also helps you relax. So when you inhale deeply, it stretches the diaphragm down, it pushes it down, or it pulls down depending on how you want to view it. But the diaphragm goes down, and it massages and realigns your internal abdominal organs. And then when you exhale, it releases or contracts up, and it allows the toxins to be more thoroughly purged from your body. When you breathe shallow, you're not forcing the blood and the organs to move around as much. So you're only getting glimpses and like a little off the top here and a little off the top there. So you're not actually purging those toxins like we would like to, just in general. So when we slow and deepen our breathing, though, it tells our body that we are no longer in a stress situation, to stop trying to activate the fight or flight mode, and it calms you down. And when you breathe in a deeper state, it brings in that healing air, and that's oxygen, nitrogen, and all of the other noble gases, or unnoble gases, I guess you could say, that help benefit us. And it also can trigger a response to your immune system, helping it activate and wake up as well. So deeper breathing is just an overall good thing to start experimenting with. Again, I couldn't even begin to link the descriptions or the notes to these type of research, because the breathing one is so big time important that almost every major university has done a study on it. There are books in the metaphysical, the psychological, and in the medical world all about how to breathe. So finding a lot of these different ways to breathe is not difficult. The difficulty is finding the one that aligns with you. But the overall emphasis in all of them is deeper belly breathing. So if you would like, we can try a little experiment. Again, if you're not comfortable doing this, you can just sit this one out and listen to it and see if it's something you want to work with, because we'll get back to the others here in a sec. But to really start out when you're deeper breathing and you want to really trigger your body into waking up to, oh, this is how it's supposed to go. You want to sit in a chair, or you could stand, but sitting is just a little bit easier so you can focus better. But you don't want your back in the chair. You don't want to touch the back of the chair. So lean forward a little bit, and so your back is straight and upright. Roll your shoulders up and then drop them back and just let them fall, so that they're going back into a natural state. But what that's doing is helping to open up your chest, and that relaxes your chest muscles and starts to get you ready for an exercise. So then, when you focus on your inhale, you breathe in and you expand your belly, bringing air in through your nose. Hold it for just 1 second, and then exhale using your mouth. But doing just one deep breath where you really stretch your belly out and then hold it for just a little teeny moment. Then exhale. And notice the difference in your brain, just in your body in general. But like for me, when I first started doing this, it was all a head rush. The blood rush was unbelievable. So, but it's something you can do to help. And just one of those deep breaths, doing that practice where you inhale through your nose, hold it for a second, and then exhale. And don't force the air out when you exhale. Allow it to flow out through your mouth, and just notice how that feels. It's going to be a unique experience if you've never done anything like this. Now, if you're used to doing breath exercises and breathing exercises, it's not going to be as big of a notice, but if you're new to this, it's going to be huge. So we can go through and just try 3 of these real quick. Take about a minute or so. So still sitting upright with your back away from the chair, your feet on the floor. You can place your hands on your belly so that you know when you're properly breathing in, because you will feel the expansion. So you breathe in through your nose and fill your belly as deep as you can as you inhale. Feeling your belly expand, and then hold. And allow the air to flow out through your mouth with almost no force. And once you get most of it out, just clench your abs just a little bit and push that last little bit of air out. That way you just get that force. Then breathe in again through your nose. Hold. And release out your mouth. One more time to get our 3 in. Inhale through your nose. Hold. And exhale out of your mouth, allowing that breath just to flow freely and deeply. Now, when you start to breathe in a normal pattern again, you're going to notice that your belly's going to want to expand. Let that happen, because this is your body saying, oh, I can relax. So I'm going to bring my air down to my belly because I'm not in a running state. I don't need to be ready to run away. So bringing it back down, and then notice how you feel. Do you feel a little bit lightheaded, which can happen? Do you feel calmer, which is another side effect? Or did your heart rate speed up? Because that can happen when you start doing the deeper breathing. It's because basically your body is getting oxygen. Your heart's like, woohoo, and sends all the oxygen out real quick so that it can work within your body. So these are some of the responses that you're going to start noticing when you first start really doing conscious exercise and deep focused breathing. So obviously don't start doing an exercise if you haven't checked with your doctor. Just something to keep in mind. I'm not a medical professional. This is just things I've experienced over time. So some of the benefits of working out are pretty interesting. If you do yoga, you're going to increase flexibility, but it's also going to help with your meditation time because you're stretching and elongating the muscles, but it's also allowing them to be in a relaxed state. So you can actually stay focused in a meditative state for longer. Working with chi flow and growth can enhance your healing practice. So if you have a healing practice, you're a Reiki master, you do some kind of energy work or intuitive work, doing chi flow exercises can actually benefit you because it helps open up your meridian lines. It can really work with your chakra levels, but it can also really influence your intuition. And the trick with all of these, this is just something I've noticed again, is you're not going to notice much in the short term. You might notice your breath is a little bit better, a little bit more flexibility or whatever through short term. But to really develop the spiritual aspect of it, you need to practice it long term. Chi energy work starts with working your body no matter what else you're doing. When you start Tai Chi and Qigong, it's going to work within your system first. And over time, you're going to start to notice that when you work with other people, there is a significant difference, an increase in the energy that you have available because you're doing these exercises. So Qigong in particular is a very interesting one of these three. And it is definitely the long haul version of whatever, because when you practice it long haul, you're going to notice a lot more improvement. You will with the others, but Tai Chi can start in a much slower state because it's a much more gentle type of practice. You can use Tai Chi without any spiritual connection whatsoever and still get the benefit. Qigong, you're going to have more intensity with it because Qigong is specifically made to develop and build and strengthen your Qi. So, just as a little side note. But when you start using Qigong, and because I started with Qigong and then went to Tai Chi, so this could be the same for both, but it's, like I said, I went with Qigong first, and so this is why I'm using this example. The first week of your practice, doing it every single day, 7 days for the first week, you're going to be learning the moves. So your focus is going to be on that. You're not going to be paying much attention to anything else. You're learning how to breathe, you're learning how to move, and that's where your attention is going to be. But once you start getting into the flow of the movements, usually around the second week, you're going to notice, and I've talked to other people who've done this, and they all have the same experience with Qigong. you're going to notice that old injuries are going to start to ache a little bit. It's not going to be like sharp stabbing pain like you broke your arm in the 3rd grade and now it's back to being like broke again. But you're going to notice that it aches, just an odd ache. If you've had any form of surgery, the scars are going to just kind of be achy. They're not going to hurt outright, but you're going to notice them again, which is an odd experience. But what's happening is your meridians, the chi channels, where they put the acupuncture needles in, are realigning and healing. Because an injury actually disrupts our subtle body. I don't care if it is cutting your finger, getting major surgery, breaking a bone, whatever. It actually really messes with your energy body. Well, your meridians are how the energy flows within your energy bodies, according to the Eastern practices anyway. And when they get damaged, it actually can break a circuit, if you want to use that term. So instead of your meridians being lined up, they'll be like this. So they'll still be running, but the connection's not clear. So when you start working with the Qi, and especially in Qigong, what it's doing is it's re-breaking that bond and resetting it so that it's realigning and healing those meridian lines. So this particular type of realignment, if you want to go with that term, can take up to 6 weeks. So your first 6 weeks of Qigong could be very interesting because it really is resetting and realigning and basically setting your body up for success so that you can actually start to do the exercises and build that vital energy. So during that time, you really want to stay aware of your body and its responses. If something feels off and something feels wrong, really wrong, go get it checked out. Don't question it. Just go take care of the problem. Don't keep pushing through it. This type of exercise is meant to be gentle but supportive. But if something goes wonky, then you need to go find out what's going on, because sometimes when you start to relax and settle in, your body will be like, oh, okay, well, we have this problem we've been trying to hide from you, but now it's here, so let's bring it up. So be aware of what's going on within your body when you start doing these practices. But after 6 weeks, give or take, 6 weeks seems to be the average, you're going to notice that you feel better. You feel more alive. Your brain computer, this organ up here that stores a bunch of information, and the heart, which stores a different form of information, are going to feel calmer. You're going to think clearer. The chaos that tends to run through our brains, especially in the West, where you've got 16 lists going, there's those 3 tabs open and they're erroring, and then you got all that music playing somewhere you can't figure out where it's from. When you start doing this, you bring it down to, I have this project right in front of me, and this is what I'm going to do. And then you can put your energy into that, and when you're done, then you can shift to the next. It really does help settle you down in your mental state, because most of what's going on up here is because of allowing the wrong stuff into our head. So there's a link in the description, just because I really did enjoy it, and this is one of my first introductions to Qigong. For David Carradine's Energy Workout Set. It's a series of 2 different workouts. One's Tai Chi and one's Qigong. I recommend working with both different exercise workouts just to kind of give you an idea of what Tai Chi is and what Qigong is. And like I said, when you work with Qigong, it's really a lot more focused on the spiritual part and building Qi versus just doing the movements. But he has a really good take on it. And just quick background on David Carradine, because everyone knows him from either the Kung Fu series, a couple of westerns, or from Kill Bill, which are great. But what people may not realize about David Carradine is he actually was trained in America as a Shaolin monk when he first did the original Kung Fu back in the 70s. He actually took that as a lifestyle. So this was not, when he does these workouts, it's not coming from a place of, I'm a fitness instructor and this is what you should do. It's coming from a point of, these are exercises that have been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years to benefit the martial arts communities. So working with Shaolin teachings, he has developed and worked with these type of exercises for probably a good 30, 40 years. So when I recommend him, it's because there is a background there in that type of work that a lot of people didn't even know he did. And even after he'd passed, people were like, wait, he knew about this, but he actually got to visit a Shaolin temple in his later years. And they were super impressed with his knowledge and his abilities, even at his age. So it's not like I'm recommending him because, oh, he's an actor. No, he actually knows what he's talking about. So, in my opinion, physical fitness enhances the spiritual. When we meditate, we work with our energy body, clearing out that negative energy. If we're not taking care of our physical bodies, working to clear out the negative in our spiritual bodies is going to become more difficult. Our bodies are the physical temples of our souls, of our spirit, of our mind. If we are working on the soul level but leave the temple a total mess, is the soul going to want to grow? Is it going to want to be in a full glory? When your house is cluttered, do you want to even be in it? Personally, we should work on all of our physical and our spiritual together, starting with some kind of an exercise routine. I mentioned the 3 that I like for this purpose beforehand, but you can also do things like walking, and this can be a very spiritual experience and be physically beneficial. There are some books out there, and I've never read them, so I cannot say good or bad, but there's one that's called, I think it was Chi Walking, or Walking the Chi, or something like that. So, I mean, even walking can be made a more spiritual experience. Eating healthy supports your spiritual, limiting things like alcohol and sugar, primarily. But if you feel led, you can cut them out entirely. That's up to you. But work with your guides, work with God Source Energy, and figure out what works. Personally, those decisions need to be between you and your guides, and possibly a nutritionist if you feel led to go that route, which some people are. Cool. And I never have advocated, and I don't ever see myself advocating for a vegan diet because our bodies are made to process certain types of food. And so to me, it makes no sense to go strictly that way. If you choose to, that's great. That's, again, your decision. But when I'm speaking in a healthy way, I'm talking about more organic foods, more natural occurring, less processed. I will say that I do not have any issue with eating meat, but I do prefer, if I'm going to eat it, that it's more ethically sourced, which is why I prefer wild game, because you're out hunting, which also gives you the nature aspect, but it also taps into something that's very primal within your brain, and I feel like a lot of us have disconnected from that. And so when you're actually out doing that, when you're actually hunting your animal, it's making you appreciate even more when you do actively get one. And honestly, a quick blast and they're out, they're done, is to me a lot less traumatic than the mass butchery that goes on in feedlots. Obviously, they're a necessary evil, but if we're going to talk about ethics here, hunting is going to be the way more ethical version of getting your food, just as an opinion of mine. Overall, again, go with what's healthy for you, working with a nutritionist if you feel led, work with your guides to really figure out what needs to be taken out. But bring your spirituality to your meals as well. We're going to go that direction today. Asking God Source Divine Energy to bless your food for the highest good and to lead you to the best sources of nutrients is just a good way to bring in, even with your eating habits, your spiritual life. You can bless it using Reiki if that's what you feel led to do, or any of the other energy works out there. You can set things like the Orgone pyramids, some of which I have in the description or in my link on my website. You can put them on top of your refrigerator. It actually does benefit some of the stuff that goes on there. And just really focusing. And there's a reason they used to pray before every meal. Personally, I think that's a good habit to get into, but don't just become rote words that don't mean anything. Focus on what you're saying. Focus on offering this to God to be blessed by them so that you can ingest a more sacred, if you want to use that term, version of health and vitality by just eating the food. So, in conclusion here, breathing is a huge part of your life. You do it all the time, from the time you're born, literally till the time you die. You're going to be breathing. It's a great tool to use in a spiritual practice because it does actually adjust and rearrange parts of your body when done correctly. Louise Hay, in her book You Can Heal Your Body, it's the little book, and I linked that below just in case you haven't seen it yet, explains how breathing in life releases stress, and then she also gives affirmations to help clear out issues with breathing. So if you're really struggling to work through something and it's like it's catching in your breathing and you're like, what is going on? She does have a couple of little tidbits in the You Can Heal Your Body book that will help with that. And you can also find You Can Heal Your Life, which has just overall really good affirmations and ways of living for just health in general. And those books are primarily concerned with health. Qigong exercises help build and grow the qi through breathing and movement. There's a lot of books and videos on yoga. I'm not even going to mark any down below. I have a couple of people that I do like. Baron Baptiste is one. He's I believe Canadian. And I really do appreciate what he does. He's got 20 some odd videos out, it feels like. But if you basically with yoga, find the one that resonates with you, because every teacher is going to bring it up a little bit different, just so there's, like I said, there's not a one-size-fits-all with that one. Most of the yoga that you're going to find is going to be focused on physical, but there's some that are primarily focused on the spiritual aspects as well. So look around and do your research. I personally have tried several books, several teachers on yoga, and it's the reason I say find the one that works for you, because there are that many out there that it's kind of impossible to say this is the best one. So in conclusion, as you go on your spiritual growth and path, your ascension protocols, if you want to go there too, don't forget and don't ignore that you have a physical body that has fitness goals that need to be guided as well. And if the gym isn't your thing, find a book, find a video that you can trust and use at home. Find a teacher that does a little bit more one-on-one if that's what you prefer. Best case scenario, find a physical practice that has a spiritual component. But you can really turn any physical activity into a spiritual activity once you kind of get the basics down. So, if you like this video and enjoy this type of content, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video in particular, you can hit the like button and you can leave a comment. I even take criticism. I'm totally okay with that too. The only thing I ask is let's be respectful. We try to be respectful in life, because if you give it out respectfully, you get it back respectfully. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week, and I will talk to you again in a future video.